Hi, Joseph Worthy, Activist Supply. In the screen printing industry today, there seems to be a just a ton of vector art seems to be sort of a standard now. And um, at our shop, we use both Corel and we use Adobe. We have and there's a ton of software out there to do raster and to do a lot with vector as well, do great color separations and create assets. Um, and those different, the different software and plugins, they can speed up a workflow. Uh, they're invaluable. At RIPS, they're invaluable. We have AccuRip, Separation Studio, all of the simple seps, plus ink seps, all of the advanced t-shirts, um, advanced t-shirts and ink seps products. Then we have Ultra Seps and also Inkseps importers on Photoshop. And I have my own actions and automation created as well. But there's just no substitute for understanding and being able to control everything yourself. There's no substitute for that. And I'm going to do a simulated process example of that type of control and understanding of color. I'm going to share with you a way that I've learned and talk about some of the ways that I've done it before. And uh, through the next weeks and months, we're going to really attack um, art from the screen printing perspective and design from the screen printing perspective. We're going to cover literally everything. So I encourage you to subscribe to the YouTube channel, to go to my Facebook, to read my blog. There's going to be a lot of good stuff coming. I have an amazing studio I've created with great cameras, lighting. I just don't like being on camera. I don't like speaking to this screen recorder. I have a screen recorder also where I can be in the corner, but I just don't like it. I don't like talking to this. We're going to be in Corel. We're going to be in Photoshop. We're going to do everything manually. We're going to do it with the plugins. Um, but like I said, you still have to manipulate what you get out with the plugins. Some more than others. Some are faster. There's just no substitute for knowing what you're doing. So I'd like to share a little bit about what I've learned. There's plenty of bad information. I wish I would have learned a lot of this a long time ago. Some of it I've known a long time. Some of it it's just been a process. So I just selected all the unused swatches, got rid of them. Now I'm going to grab all of this information here and I'm just creating a palette from it. I'm not doing the tints because I just want to show how much 100% hue is in it. I'm not going to name it just for an example. So there's all the colors in this. And there's a lot of different ways that I would attack this. Probably the only way I wouldn't attempt it is by index because it would require so many colors to do it by index. Well, no, actually, you could probably still do this with index with one, two, three, four, five, maybe five or six colors. You can still do it with index, but that's not the first thing that comes to mind with this. I could do vector fast. I could almost do any of them fast. I could use a plug-in because it's just such great art. You would get great results. I'm not gonna get into dot gain. I'm not gonna get into pulling browns or pulling customs or pulling gray channel or any of that today. Um, we're just going to start kind of simple. This wasn't even a good place to start simulator process. We're going to get really back to the basics after we do a few videos um, about simulated process index. We're going to, kind of step back and start from the beginning and just so if there's people that are just starting, they can learn all kinds of workflows that I've developed over the years for processing art for print. For creating art for print, I'm going to show some great asset creation techniques in the index and monochrome, both in Corel and Photoshop. So, looking at this, I personally see, three or four ways that make sense to attack it. One would be to um, develop an overprint palette, which there's some great plugins for doing that in Corel. There's so many colors here. I would pick, a few of them and make an overprint palette, or even I might just grab the darkest of each, a brown, a dark brown, a dark green, a dark yellow, a dark blue, and a dark, like sort of mid purple. Uh, not mid purple, but somewhere between purple and red, but dark. And I would probably develop tints of it and then color this with tints and print it as a vector. But I'm looking at this and I'm seeing these differences in this the tones throughout the shirt, the can, even the flesh, and especially the type, which just looks so good in simulated process. And that's overprint as well, but it's overprint with the primary colors. And so that's what we're gonna dive into today is a simulated process separation of this. We may separate it later in other ways because I could really vector separate this quick, a couple different ways. And to some people looking at it, they see so many colors, they might think, "Wow, that I don't see how you could do that fast." Well, I might come back to. I might just do another complex one that's not this one because we're probably gonna do this in Corel as well. The simulated process with this image. I don't know. I'm playing it by the seat of my pants. Eventually, I want to be on camera and talk about business. For right now, we're going to talk about the art part of the industry and not get into business. Art is the best part of the business. The better your art is, the more you can charge. Being able to control the art and just knowing how to handle it and knowing how to create assets quick, better assets than the next guy's important. Let's get out of Illustrator. Um, I don't want to say that like that. Okie dokie. Let's see. So I have the image in Photoshop raster. Um, I'm not going to get into analysis. This is a great image. Um, I just don't want videos to be too long, and this could be a somewhat long process. I'm going to do it in a way that really gives you maximum accuracy and control. And I have automated ways of getting through this and putting it into channels and different things and making it very streamlined. But for the purpose of this, so people can see what goes into it, we're going to do it just a certain way. Um, so if you're doing what you think is simulated process and you're doing it by method of color range, really that's spot halftones. Simulated process to me, well, it could be used in any colors, but it really revolves around the primary colors. Now you kind of can shift those. Um, you know, for instance, if you are going to pull a magenta, you could pull a purple, but I don't understand people who start with purple. Um, I guess I do understand it. Sometimes I see that's a way to pull it. But my point is if you're doing color range, it's not really a true. If you're using a set of inks that sim process inks, they're all primary colors. You got your CMYK, and then you got your red, green, and blue. To pull those perfectly, you can't do it with the color range. You gotta do custom inks, and we do that quite a bit. I do it. I like to do things that way. I like to control it, as I said, but I want to show this and share this as a simulated process method, and I'll separate. Now maybe I'll separate this file with the color range into channels, and how I do that is I make swatches of the exact primary colors, and so instead of selecting from my image, I would just hit the exact red swatch that's 255 and 0 and 0 for the RGB, and it will pull all that out of there. And sometimes I'll have them set up to where I have three. I have one that's 30 degrees lighter and 30 degrees darker, and I'll do a multi pick in the panel. I'll select multi pick, and then I'll select all three of those, and it'll select that entire range um, from the image, and I'll show how that's done. And you got to use the fuzziness and work with it, but we'll build some channels that way. This is the absolute most accurate, it's just the best way to control it the way I'm about to show you. Calculations, I've done them with calculations, and it can be accurate too, but it's not a beginner's way to go about things for sure. So let's duplicate this, call it base, return. Let's duplicate it again, call it black, return. Let's duplicate it again, and we're going to call it highlight, or second white. Highlight is what we're going to call it today. And then one more time for now, and we'll call this one cyan, because that's going to be our cyan pool. Let's get started. Command 0 to make it full screen for me. Now we're going to do the destructive ways of doing this. Image adjustments, black and white. We're going to go to a maximum white, pushes everything that's not gray or black information into the white. Press OK. Command I have my underbase. I inverted it. It turned all of that that's going to be white base, it turned to black for a film. Now I go to the black, command 0, full screen. I must not have my layer selected. Okay. Adjustments, black and white. This time it's a maximum white with no inversion, pushes everything away from the black. There's that black channel. Now command 0 again. I have, for my highlight white, this is not a great image for a highlight white. I made one, I had to tweak it some. You'll see how it looks. Another adjustment. This time we want to do a maximum black preset with an inversion. If you think about it, it makes sense. So it's turned everything that's gray or black and not perfect white into black. But because we want to film, we got to invert that. So now everything you see will be exposed. This, a little bit of white here, a little here, this in the eyes, all that will be exposed. So let's look at the differences. There's your base, there's your black. So look where the black is around the letters, and look there. Okay, these are perfect pulls, I promise you. So how do we do our color? All right, first thing I gotta do is grab my layer, command 0 to get it bigger, command J to duplicate. Now I want to go to image adjustments, black and white. We're going to do a maximum white to get that black. It would be the same as the black channel. Again, we're going to pull all the black and gray information out of this. So it's a maximum white. Okay. Now we want to command J to duplicate that channel. We'll turn off the top one, select the second one, do a divide lens, merge visible, turn on the top, select the top layer, command I to invert, do a screen lens, merge what's visible. Now you have all the hues with all the black and gray information pulled out of it. In this, we're using the black for all the gray data, and which is a perfectly fine way to do it. Sometimes you have very low percentages of black where you go down, you can't hold those dots. So if it was a 5% black, it might be a 20% gray. And so there's where you get into those. If there's a lot of gray information and black information, sometimes you want to do that. In this image, this looks really good. So you'll see now we have to duplicate this. I'm only going to do a few of them. We're going to do cyan, yellow, and magenta. So duplicate. We'll call this yellow because this is like a cooking show. I already have it ready. I'm going to only halftone one of these. um, to show you how to, I might do two because I might show you the process of building up the halftone preview. Yeah. So duplicate again, and we'll call this magenta. Magenta. Command 0. All right, I want to do the cyan first. So image adjustments again, hue saturation. It's a custom pull. It's of the cyans. Now you take this little slider and you move it over to 181. This can be done in Corel. It's a little bit different the way you do it, but this same method of doing it can be done in Corel. So you want this number to be 181, this one to be 179. Colors based on that wheel that's 360 degrees. 30 degrees on each side of perfect colors where you want your grayscale. It's the perfect number. 210 for this number. Slide this one in. And you're going to get, see, 180. So you want this one to 150. So your perfect cyan on the wheel is at 180 degrees. There is some cyan effect in the green all the way over to right here, okay? And that would be at 150. And then it goes in and is part of the blue. I'm probably not using the perfect terminology. I know it, but I wasn't planning on talking about this that much. It was 210. Okay, and we'll if I were to do all of them, you would see you're going to see enough by me doing 3. So there we have. We've selected the range that we want to work in, and so we turn it all the way to darkness, and we press OK. Now think about this. We made everything as dark as we could that's in that information and the grayscale. So now we go back and we do a black and white to it and do a maximum white. So that's everything else becomes white. And of course, I have AccuRip, so I wouldn't need to halftone these. But because I like to interlock dots, because I like to have my control over dot gain. You can control it in AccuRip. A lot of people don't know because they act like, oh, just let AccuRip do everything. Well, I don't. That's not how we operate. We're very specific in our process. We look at everything, and we have every kind of hammer. So that way, every different kind of nail, we can look at it, decide what kind of nail it is, and what kind of hammer we're going to hit it with. And that goes for plugins, rips, our methods of separation, everything. Let's pull these yellows. So you do the adjustment. It's a hue saturation adjustment. It's a custom pull of the yellows, and you're going to go over to 59. You're going to go over to 61. You'll see what I mean when you move the center sliders and you zero them in on perfect yellow. All right, if it's 60, then it's 30 to the grayscale, and then 90 on the other side. So 60 degrees of color that you're pulling each time, and most of that's a grayscale. Okay, so I took the lightness all the way up. I click on OK. I go over adjustments, black, maximum white. Yeah, it's too simple, isn't it? Now do you see why the plugins and everything does it so fast? And they just got curves built into it to saturate it and stuff. You're doing custom curve pulls. Here's the yellow channel. Now here's the magenta. We'll do it. I'm going to halftone two of them because I'm going to show you how I build up the halftone preview. Image. I'm sitting here talking too much. All right, so hue saturation. It's custom. And it is magenta. Now you look at where your color is. You take it over and it goes to 300. So you want 299. You don't want 300. You want 299. And you can do a little bit different. Oh, and you could do custom pulls. from in here. So if you wanted to get your reds, you can bring this over more and bring your grayscale over more into here. It's just, you can capture all of it in one. And that's pretty much what CMYK does, is it pulls a cyan that goes over. Um, Actually, I haven't really looked at that, but it's the basic theory behind it. So there's the pull the lightness up. You click on OK, you go over, you do the black and white adjustment, which is another maximum white. It's always maximum white on these. And okay, excuse me. All right, so now I'm gonna run my action on this. These are mostly artistic dots because, like I said, as you can see, I have the ink seps, all of those. I have ultra seps. This is more of an artistic dot, is the reason why I have it. It's more for artistic reasons than anything. Creating artistic halftones, and well, actually, I do it for this, but see, I'm in my home office right now, um, so I made that 1200, so I gotta make sure I do it to the other one. Click on OK. We're gonna do 40 or 45, and we're gonna do 22.5, and we'll let it run. Let me think if I did everything. Yeah, we'll let it run. Alright, now in my layers panel, I get rid of my background. Okay, so I'm left with my magenta dots. I could do a color overlay, and I turn this to, and this is what you do for every single one. For you do it, you halftone each one, and I will show that in a video sometime. I will show how to do the halftone without the action. Um, so we want 100% magenta, 0, 0, 0. When you do your all of these, that's what you do for each color overlay to get your halftone preview. You'll make your cyan 100 here, 0, 0, 0. You make your yellow 100 here, 0, 0, 0. When you make your red, you make it 255, 0, 0. When you make your green, you make it 255, 0, 0. You make your black 255. Your blue 255 and then 0, 0, and your black is of course 0, 0, 0 on here, and your white is of course 255, 255, 255 on here, and that's what you do to each one of your plates. Then what I do is for films, I go back and I just click on this, double click on it, I turn it to a rich black. And I don't do it that often because, like I said, I have rips and stuff, so it's really not the point. So that was the magenta halftone there. Let's go and let's look at the cyan. Okay, so we'll run the dots on it. Okay, flat layers. And I will show this process of halftone. I recorded this action a long time ago. 45 with a, I should interlock it, but I'm not. I mean, actually, you wouldn't interlock those two colors on this design, but I was saying for the purposes of showing you interlocking dots. So we'll click OK, I'll run that, and then again, I get rid of my background, do a color overlay of the cyan, so that's there, and so this is easy as switching. As you can see, sometimes it won't pick perfectly for you if you don't. Oh, that should have been 100. Let me change this. 100. No, it's kind of supposed to pick in there to get it to be on it, but it'll change every time. You get as close as you can. That's one thing that annoys me about that color picker. Oh, I didn't get that 0. Let's 0 it. All right, so that's ready. Okay, so as you can see, I have halftones there again. Now, just to show you how to build the halftone preview, after you do that, you got your base 255, 255, 255, your black 0, 0, 0. You got them all done. You drag in your print order that you want onto the base. So for this case, I'm going to drag this one into here just to show you. And you pull it into the middle, you hold down shift and you let off, and it'll put it exactly in place. And then you build up your halftone preview that way. And what you're about to see is one that I've already built up that way. Um, it's loading now, so just give it 1 second. Taking a second because it's on a hard drive. All right. Uh, so that's the highlight white that I pulled back and put at a different angle. Let's build up our our preview. So there's a choked base. I'm not going to put the blue because there wasn't really any blue information. I ended up doing some tweaking to it and just playing around, but it doesn't need the blue. On the other blue, that's actually the cyan channel with a tiny hint of blue that it had in the blues, but you'll see. So there's cyan, and it had some other colors. I added some channels. I was playing around. Yellow, magenta, red, green, and then of course the highlight white. And then you can see it without the highlight. It doesn't need it, but man, it does pop with that highlight. So that's how it looks right there. So let's look at, I have the black interlocked, but of course the black is not turned on now. So you're not gonna see that. But there's a beautiful halftone preview right there. It's you won't get much more accuracy. Now I could dial those browns in, but I have to tell you this is the way the screen is simulating it. This is the way the RGB spectrum is simulating. I'm not even sure what color mode I have Photoshop in right now. It's just showing you this. Hopefully it's an RGB mode, but I don't know if I did anything specific with this. Let me show you the oh man, I'm gonna have to decline that phone call so it doesn't annoy me. Um, Sorry, I have an iPhone and I'm on a Mac, so it thinks it has to be my personal assistant. Let's turn on the white, turn off this, and turn on the black. Okay, as you can see, even with the highlight white on, it looks good on a light garment too, the way I have it. And those are the interlocking dots with the black, which just it gives for great coverage. You have a white garment below, so your white could be peeking through dramatically if you don't do something. The only one I needed to do in this one was the black because there was so much black that affects into all the colors. You saw how little there was hue. And if there's such little hue, then and it still gets up to dark, how does it get dark? It's affected by the black. Um, and so as you can see, this is the dots. It's very nice. I want to command 0 again. I mean, you just see it's kind of blinging on that little necklace. Skull. Wow. He's some cool zombie, isn't he? Anyway, that is manual separations with an automated action to do a halftone rip. These dots are perfect. I could do the sizing from the beginning and work with this design, and literally it would print so perfect. I would print it probably at a 55. But like I said, the reason why I wanted to is so you could see this. Why I would like this as a simulated process is because you can really create a great effect um, of the tonal changes. Will look so good on fabric. Um, it's a good image, and I don't know how I managed to do that. I'm sorry. So there we go. I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm fumbling like crazy through the videos. I apologize for that. I don't like doing this. The whole time I'm talking so much that I feel like I got to be talking, and I'm just like not paying attention to what I'm doing. And anyway, wow, that looks good. I wanted to show you one more time how great it looks on a dark garment with that choked base. That base is choked couple pixels. So that what you're seeing on these edges, and I can show you real quick. That's in the design. It's green information right there. It's not base peeking out. I don't have any base peeking out anywhere. I think I choked at 2 to 3 pixels because there was a lot of white data. Turn this black off and let it show through. So as you can see, it's a really nice dot. And if people are crazy, if they act like this got to be a perfect dot, I like accurate for certain things. When I like it really for just spot halftones, where you're just doing percentages of color. I like it for that. There are some pretty dots in there, but these are some pretty dots. And as you can see, this is an interlock here. This is sharp right here. This is a very sharp dot. I think they look great. I think it looks great on a white or a black. I think it looks good with or without the highlight. I really like it on the black with the highlight. Um, anyway, I've kept you long enough. Thanks for watching.